Oh, okay. No, there was Sicha. We'll leave the Shemitz with Hashem.
I'm still into it. I wanted to.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Once it's done, I want to go on my own.
We're going to do it. It's not the Shaila.
I'll find time. No, it's quite a talk. I'll find time to finish it.
I just figured it's hard to be Mashai in my mind. I was thinking in my mind, it's like after Hanukkah, it could be in the summer, in 3 weeks. After now, I want to do a Sikha that we, I didn't, because we did the Shema Seminar and everything, we didn't get a chance to do the Sikha. Wow.
That's just clean night. It's great.
Very nice.
But they need to practice it.
Okay. Yeah. You want? Okay. Brilliant Sikha. You know, one of the expressions that Rebbe said by Heitevis that my Indian is Zogna Rashi Sikha. And Rebbe said that this is Mavalvo. To great a Rashi Sikha, and that he can't do it because he's so mavolvo. But that was to the Rebbe the litmus test that he's torud and he's in pain about the story of the stealing of Fidike B'Sforim, that he can't be Misrakis to prepare a Rashi Sikha. Happens to be like brilliant Sheba brilliant, Poshet Sheba Pshutim, the answer. And I just for extra per thing, I looked in the other Gemaras, like the Art Scroll, the Masifta, B'Chas V'Shalom. They wouldn't bring the Rebbe's Metzayin. I'm sure they still look at Sichim. They went to those places, but the brilliance in the Vart Alein, Chas V'Shalom. Pshat has to be ambiguous because not to bring from Likkutei Sichos. But it's just a simple word at the end. It's just brilliant. And if we don't get to finish the whole thing today, Mitzvah Shalosh Shudas will finish a little bit of Likkutei Levis Yitzchak, a little from the Rebbe's father and the Zohar on this. Okay, quick. Let's just read fast. The pasuk, it's the truth is Meketz Vayigash Vayechi. It's a little bit of a hemshach. So the pasuk says, "Yosef Yulat Shnei Bonim Eterem Tavish Nasarov Ashiol Eloi Osnas Bas Poiti Fera Koyin Oin." And he called them Menashe and Ephraim. Rashi says, why does the pasuk have to tell us, you want to know how old the children are? I had a baby somewhere in the last 7 years. How does that help you to know the age of the child? Because Terem Tovish Nas Harov, there was 7 years of Sova. So it's, you're not really telling me anything. Sometimes the Torah wants to tell you the age of someone, because through that you get a general picture of what's going on. But if you're telling me that Yosef HaTzadik had 2 children sometime in the 7 years, you're not telling me anything. So obviously the pasuk is trying to tell me something. So what is the pasuk telling me? Here, Ramish on the first page, on top of the page. Oh, what's the pasuk trying to tell me? So Rashi says, that the pasuk is telling me, Mikam, from here I have a din, that it's also for a person to have babies in the time of Ra'avan. It's just going to be a brilliant Rashi Sikha. Do you know that the Shari Tshuva says, and the Bishabura brings, that if the inflation is so bad that something, and that regular items are double the price, it's also to be Mishamish Mitosi. So maybe the Sikha is a dafka, this Dinu Shulchan Aruch is a psashtikal relevant today. So it's it's a Rashi. We're learning the Sugya. Okay. Let's read quickly in the Gemara Tainus. Then we'll do a little piece in the Shari Tshuva. And then we'll learn it with the Tzura Sadaf, the Tur, the Beis Yosef, the Bach, the Shulchan Aruch, the Taz, and the Magen Avram. Then we'll get to the Sikha. Oisis Machkimas, we see it inside. The Gemara says in Tainus, Amr B'Yudam Arameir, Kol Amar Vatzma Mishnei Re'avin Nitzal Misa Mishuna. A person that starves himself in the Shnei Re'avin, he has food, but other Yidden are in pain, so he's not going to sit and eat kokosh cake or have a potato kugel because other Yidden are in pain. If other Yidden are in pain, even if he has potato kugel, he's not eating the potato kugel. So in that school, it says nitzal memisa mishuna. Shenema, it says in the pasuk berav potcha mimovis mirov. It says birov potcha. It should say mirov miboilei, that the Eibusher saved you from rav, not birov. When birov, when a person puts himself in a rav in order to be in pain together with another yid, I don't want to go into how the Gemara knows it. I just want to read it quickly in the Gemara so we just get a picture of the sugya. It's also for a person to have babies in the years of Re'oven. The Torah is telling you can only have babies before the Shnas Harav comes. Tana, the Tana said that you should know Chasuche Bonim Meshamshem at the 7th Rav, and the person that doesn't have any children are allowed to have children Mishnei Rav, because it's very important for them to have children. Tana Rabbanim Nasher Yisrael Turem Etzarav Pish Echad Mehem Boim Shnei Malach HaShoros B'Shalam L'Lodem Anichim Lo Yidei Ma'arosh V'Emen Plan Zeh Pirish Mi Natzibur Al Yideh V'Nechmas Tzibur. Person like the story of Elimelech and Rus. A person he's not suffering, so whatever, he goes into his ivory tower and he has over there buckets he bought in Costco, buckets of, do you remember when the Corona started? And the Costco they were advertising these big buckets, and you have package, I don't know if they're kosher, but like if just in case, so you have every bucket has 145 meals, and people stocked up with buckets, and Costco made a ton of money selling these buckets. What can people? And then these buckets, there's nothing you can do with it. Okay. The person walks away from the Tzoros HaTzibur and he says, "Sholem Malach Nafshi, I have buckets from Costco stocked away. Also good." The Malach HaShoros say, "No, it's not good. It's not good. A Yid has to be together with the tzibur, and he sees the nachama with the tzibur. That it's good for me. All of our of Omer, the guy says that I have food in my house. What's the difference? What's going to be tomorrow? What the simple pshat is, he says, what do I have to care about my cholesterol or my blood pressure? But the Gemara is darshaning that it means that he says, listen, the world is a famine. So whatever, tomorrow he's going to die. But today, why does he have to ration? He's going to have a good time. He's going to eat. And what's going to be tomorrow? Vilnish Daigen. Maybe she doesn't like that attitude. Okay. Shulchan Aruch. Siman Tov brings this lahalacha. We'll soon read it inside the Shulchan Aruch. And the Mefarshim will talk about this a lot. You know why? Because like the Mefarshim talk in different kufas, even more in very tough situations. So like the question was asked, how is it mutter for us to be mishamish? The question was asked. It was relevant. So and that's what we're going to go. Is it only midah tzidus? Is it really also is it only midah tzidus? Therefore, we were not okay. So that's. But the Shari Tshuva brings a little bit of this discussion. Ein liel simen reish mem, duodim b'short tzoros kshem keroven. Ein b'ri b'shem shar knes agdol shekotz samchin neidna ma shekotz v'atois v'shein rak midas chassidus. We rely on the toisvus that it's not a din; it's only a midas chassidus. And we see that besides Yosef Atzadik, there was Levi, and Levi loy noagza. Levi, which is the third son of Yaakov, who wasn't noag, he did have children and babies. Yocheved, which was born by Nachaimas. Even if there is a Isur, so you have to know what's Shnas Harov. Ein Sham da Abe Mori is al b'tshuva gimgim al dvorim. Vayim b'shut beis Yehuda simer Eshmem she'evei leil b'simer Eshmem ach b'sifer beri kosu b'shem Ove v'rav shkosu b'tshuva shamazenes t'nsuyin sh'rak shem b'yoyke godel ein zer oven. Arguing, in other words, in simer Eshmem, there are those that hold that if the food doubled in price, A dozen eggs costed $1.49, $1.99. Now it's even $4.99. It went double. That's already called yoiker, and that's already chal the isur. It's unbelievable. The tzarich l'mnoya tashmish. Demis says you can't look at just eggs. You have to look at you have to look at flour. Demis, you have to look at flour. You have to look at other basic stuff that are being sold. Eggs b'chlolam, the basic stuff that are needed in order to live. So he says that no, that there is a shita that says no, that shemazon rak v'yoyke godel ein zeravim. Ben tzarich l'mnoya metash. Meskim echach mishalayim tibona v'tekoinen. Mashma av v'yoyke kiflayim l'eslam blah. That those that are makel, and they say even if everything went up, all basic stuff went up double, less lamba. V'ayim b'divrei David lagon baltaz Parshas Vayechi. Shkadavka tashmish l'tainik ba'almas aval kiyam amin ad yitzet akav l'shasha zera in yisur. David zabachlach atzuch ibon ella the miltz of the psika noka. Alkan l'shanim. That he said. The Shulchan Aruch says a person doesn't have children is allowed to have babies, bishnei ravim. But what if a person knows that if he's not going to be with his wife, there'll be zera levatola, whatever. So okay. So he also it's the same thing. It's not that it's a mitzvah psikah. Mitzvah psikah is a person have children. He has to be with his wife to have children. The other things, every person is different. You can't say every person is different. Every day is different. At kol shavim be'el yirab zet toma mashkos vataz kan dafil lokim piri piri ba'os teleise mashkos v'chinkat v'derech abayim b'keshim avi v'rav mishkim piri piri mi'ishte lisheno mishnei zoicha b'bonas v'reitze ishtachut al yoda emach socha bonim ba'osur. Whole discussion, in other words, he really has children, but he has a second wife. He did kiriv, she didn't do. She wants to have more children because it's good to have children. When you get older, it's called the chutr yoda. A woman can demand her husband says, we have children. She says, no, I want more children. Why? The Gemara says, chutr yada. She says, you never know. Could be our first few children are going to be very good kids. They'll be in Lakewood. They'll be sitting and learning Yom V'Layla, reading Yerushalayim and Koilo. But they're not going to be around when we're very old people and someone needs to take care of us. You never know who ends up taking care of the parents. You never know. Sometimes Dafka the Mazinik, the youngest one, or one before the youngest one, the oldest, the few children are busy. A woman could always tie it to her husband. I want to have more children. It's called chutzer leyoda. This is the stick in my hand. So we made it off, and he says you can't tie it. If you read the I'll put you in a good nursing home. So you cannot. You can't wish. Sometimes you have an anical that's living upstairs that's taking care of you. Can't you listen, right?
I said to my kid, I'll treat you good, so treat me a nice toaster.
Okay. Let's read it quickly in the Shulchan Aruch. First, let's do the tour. Beis Yosef Bach. Mitzvah lahariv odem atzam b'shnas re'oven v'os l'shamish b'y metoser l'chasuch imonim mutev. Okay. So 3 points we just had. Mitzvah lahariv b'shnas re'oven. Number 2, also, which mashma, it's not mitzvah chassidus, it's also to mishamish, and but chasuch imonim is mutev. Sagt the Beis Yosef. Beide kamen the tiniest, af Yudalef and Medalef. V'hoda Marinish also all the Mashamish Mutasnei Ravim. Eisle beGemorim in the Ksiv. Ul Yosef Yulat Shnei Bonim Beterim Tavish Naserav. Because for Toisef Him Tema Yechev and Elde Ben Achaimes. Yechev was born when they came down Mitzrayim. V'oisa Eis Rav Oya was basically 2 years into the Rav, because when they came into Mitzrayim was about 2 years into the Rav, and then there was another 5 years left. That's the way. That's the way.
After 1 year of Rav, they had
so it was a full year of Rav, and then he must have been with his wife, and 9 months later she had a baby. And what's going on over here? Toysa says it was only a midah chassidus. If it's a Levi wasn't a chassid. Levi wasn't a chassid. Levi wasn't a chassid. Yosef was a chassid.
Because Rabbi, I don't know if it was you or somebody else who said that during the famine they were not permitted to have relations.
Right, that's what we're talking about. So Tosfos says Levi did have, because he had a baby after 2 years. So obviously he was with his wife.
Yeah.
So no, the Yosef was a chassid, Levi wasn't a chassid. Okay, the problem is we'll say soon that everyone's going to ask, well, how could you say that? How could you say it says Tumecha Rechel Ish Chasedecha, and it's talking about Levi. It's a beferish apostle that Levi was Yachlased. What do you expect? You expect Levi to be a Masnagid? Levi? How can you say such a thing? Levi?
No.
Levi was a chassid. Okay? Sure, a chassid. Okay? So Yosef was a chassid, Levi was a chassid.
Levi is the only Shevet.
Right? So how can you say such a thing? Okay.
No, I'm saying Shevet Levi.
Didn't work in Mitzrayim. No. So they were Zicher, they were
They
Chasidim.
didn't have Ravon. There was no salvation for them.
That's exactly what happened because everybody else, like Yosef wasn't there.
Yosef also didn't have. Yosef didn't have.
Yeah, but we actually learned over Shabbos from Hasidus that if you don't have troubles, how are you able to grow?
Yeah. Don't worry, they had enough troubles.
Was Levi really a chassid, or was he a tzaddik?
He was a chassid. The pasuk says, "Tumecha v'yirech Ish Chasedech." He was a chassid. Then he continues. Rebbe Eliyahu Mizrachi Zechrona Levracha Chossav Parshas Vayechi Kates. I just want to point something out. It's interesting. Rebbe Eliyahu Mizrachi was the first strong commentary on Rashi. I always talk about Rebbe Eliyahu Mizrachi. We have in the shul Rebbe Eliyahu Mizrachi, but Rebbe Eliyahu Mizrachi was the first. Then afterwards, maybe I have another 400 commentaries. But he was the first big Godel Adoid in his time, 500 years ago, who decided to write in a comprehensive rebuttal to the arguments that the Ramban had against Rashi. It's interesting. Rebbe Eliyahu Mizrachi is taken very seriously. The Beis Yosef quotes him. Rebbe Eliyahu Mizrachi is Zechron Levracha B'Shabbos Vayechi Kates. Hashem yesh lem to keep in the Efshel Lavachim L'Piri V'Ribe Elim Ken Yesh Lo in the cave of Achal Bonov. That he says, that what's the minchasuche bonim? You have to have a boy and a girl.
Once a person have a boy and a girl, he made a mitzvah.
He made a mitzvah. So he says chasuche bonim means not only that he has a child, it means that he has a son and a daughter. Levi bats chosach bonim mikre v'utal l'shamish. Kosheli dimkein gam Yosef hoy mutal l'shamish. Lo hoy lebas dimkein hoy moina hoy sakosa b'shiva nefesh. So he said, I don't understand what kind of answer Rabbi Eliyahu Mizrachi is giving. He's saying, if it's good for Levi, it's good for Yosef. Tell me, Levi was mutter because he had no children. He had children. No, you have to have a boy and a girl. He didn't have a girl. Okay, Yosef also. He didn't. Obviously, he didn't have a daughter because the pasuk tells you the names and he counts the shivim nefesh. So it can't be that he really had a daughter.
But it says with every.
And Takarash has a problem with this, that every Shevet had a twin. So Muslim they all passed away. Whatever, it's a problem. Varan Tiritz, the Isur Tash Mishamita B'Shnei Rav and Elul Mishum Shisrael Shlem B'Tzar. Yodim Mitzrayim Yodim Atzim Shem Shivim V'Yosef Nam Yodim Hayba Shur Berevach. That the Ran said that it's only also to be with your wife when other Jews are in Tzar. But they themselves, Yaakov and his children were not B'Tzar, and they knew that Yosef was not B'Tzar. Yosef Hashem Shurim B'Tzar. So the Beis says, I don't understand. You're turning it on its head. Tisha Chadoshim Shiva Kodim Meridosam Mitzrayim Shemi Pshata Aksuvim Nira Shelo Yodim Emenim Chayim Meis Achon Esvadolhem V'Tek V'Yodol Mitzrayim Vaznel LeYocheved V'Nimtza Shishim Shlei V'Tisha Chadoshim Shiva Kodim Lachem. He said, I don't understand. If you read the story, they didn't know that Yosef is alive. What are you telling me? They were all comfortable. That's arguable if they were comfortable or not. But they tell me they were all comfortable. And they knew Yosef was comfortable. What do you mean they knew Yosef was comfortable? They didn't know if he's alive, B'chlal. So what do you tell me they knew he was comfortable? Doesn't make sense, he says. Okay. So shlug up teretz 1, shlug up teretz 2, shlug up teretz 3. What's the fourth teretz? V'li nida shekoy de man Torah loy mitaser l'shamish mishnei riyavim. That really before Matan Torah wasn't applicable. There's no mitzvahs before Matan Torah. Oh, the ma'asim bal v'yasyu l'shnei bonim asmachta b'yalmahu metura deterem tavishnei rov daikla. Da'achar shabosh naserav as l'shamish mishnei Torah. Teida dekenu tochasu chebonim misham shmetem mishnei b'tzeretz yeseken shnei bonim chotzach bonim oy muta hilo l'shamish afila im oyu shnei rovin. The Beis Yosef, look, Yosef HaTzadik only had boys, not girls, so it's muta for him. So Elamai is a smachta ba'alma. In Cain, heichemaisa menei hilkich, la de mashma da smachta ba'almahu. The Mashah asks on this. The Mashah says, understand? Every child knows. It's a Gemara Takim Manochas also that kiyum oves kol haTorah kula achlo nitna. So what are you telling me that it wasn't relevant? It was before Matan Torah, but the oves did keep the mitzvahs. So all four questions have a problem with it.
However, Rabbi, didn't you teach us that before Matan Torah, they kept the Torah in the Shemayim, but when Matan Torah happened, Moshe brought that into the Torah here.
There's the whole discussion. We did once a winter, and we did a dozen sichos of the Rebbe about what exactly did it look like keeping the mitzvahs before Matan Torah. There's 2 full svarim written by Gdolei Yisrael about this. But still, you can't just say, it was before Matan Torah, it wasn't applicable. If the Chazal say they kept the mitzvahs before Matan Torah.
Yeah, but you can answer it pretty easily. And we know Yaakov married 2 wives, which would be Asur. There's Midrash that Shimon married Dinah. There's a lot of things where they made exceptions. They generally kept it. Mm-hmm. But they didn't keep it absolutely.
Right. So they have to have a reason for the exception. So you'd have to add salt and pepper here.
He has a valid reason why
he needs children. Okay.
Especially if you...
Not most of that. They say
Okay. Fine. We'll let this teretz stand. We'll let the fourth teretz stand. It says the Bach, let's skip to the last 5-6 lines. That's the juicy part. Where he says very nice. The last 5 lines in this piece are Dalet. It's cut in Dalet. He says, "Hachi alaplot." The said the like Isura fila by the kain piri v'ri be'im mokum lomitas chasidus b'chotz chubonim. Kiven the hocher like drora di Isura b'alkor chadiki Isura by the kain piri v'ri be'lefika choya mokum. He says it like this. It's like a very purple, he says. But really, Yosef didn't have a boy and a girl, so it would be permissible for him. Elamai, Chassidus, he didn't do it. But Chassidus always starts, there's a halacha, and that's what you must do. If you're a Chassid, you do more. But there's no mitzvah. There's a mitzvah to take and drink 4 ounces of l'chaim. He'll be a chassid, a gross chassid. He's going to drink 4 bottles. But if there's not even a mitzvah to drink 1 ounce, so what's the chassid? Midas chassidus to drink? If you're going to say that there is a isur to be mishamish. But Yosef was mut because he didn't have a daughter. But if the whole isur doesn't start, so from this is a raya that funny. Well, okay, that's the Bach. Let's turn the page to Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch is Siman Tov Kuf Ayin Dalet Tziv Dalet. Mitzvah laharav odam atzma b'shnat zera oven. V'osel l'shamish b'metoseh. Chutz mileil tviloseh l'chasuch evonim. Mutter. So the Shulchan Aruch adds one thing, more than the Tur, that people that have no children, they can have children, and also leil tviloseh. Once a month, when the woman comes back from the mikveh, every person is allowed to be with his wife. Big chiddush. Okay. The Magen totally doesn't like this. Totally doesn't like this.
She shouldn't go to the mikveh. It's not.
So yeah, let's read the Magen Avraham first. Zeloshem Beis Yosef, Garsinim Yerushalmi, T'ivei Bon Mishamshem et Tesayim, and those that don't have children could be Mishamish. Amar Rabbi Yosef Belvad Yem Shetavla. So what does it mean Belvad Yem Shetavla? So the Beis Yosef Shedmoya the Tzrich L'Shamish Tamid. If he doesn't have a baby, he has to sleep with his wife every single night. He has to try to make her pregnant every single night. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbos. And nearly the koyad lil. So I said, therefore, no. That Rabbi Yossi, when he said Ubilvan Yom Shetavla, means he's going back to the general issue that it's awesome. But once a month, when she goes to the mikveh, every woman comes home and she's mutter. And that's what he passes in the Shulchan Aruch. There's a doiche gadol of farish ubilvad k'meichutz. Having a lemer milvad, not bilvad. This whole thing is v'oida toises hiksha ech no lechevet ben achoymes. V'gam shonim aforshim nitchuku bezev. V'havlu lememer v'pshitus the leil tefila have k'meshkosa b'shalo v'psak Shulchan Aruch. He says, I don't understand. If it's true that every woman once a month she comes home from the mikveh and her husband's allowed to be with her. So why old Mefarshim asking, what's going on with Levi? What's your question? Levi's wife came home from the mikveh. He slept with her that night. She became pregnant. And she had a baby. That's later.
It's not short.
If you're telling me that every person is mutter to be with his wife, Leil Tvila, so it means once a month he's with his wife on average. So that's how Levi had a baby. Was a ganze pilpul. לכן נראה לי דברים ככסובת, ספיר לי לרבי יוסי, דאף חסוכי בונים, אין מותר על משמש, אלא בליל תפילה. That you need tarti letivusa. You need both miles together. People that have no children, once a month, could sleep with their wife. The svira lei, what's the svara? The svira lei, the enisha mesaberes, ela samach letvila, the isa begamara benida. And we know scientifically today, it's very, very true. Right, so if you want to hit a pregnancy, you have to have very close to when the bayim come out of the ovaries, and b'derech klal, every prayer could be different. Sometimes they try to manipulate it. So shita could be below too, but usually that's why from people who are trying to have children, and they're not trying to do tricks to be minea children, but also that's because from even in the olden days, from people on average had more children, because goyim are sleeping with their wife anytime. The people are keeping taras mishpacha, so they're gonna end up being with their wife Leil Tvila. Leil Tvila is the most likelihood time that's when the ovaries are producing the beya that's going to create the child. That's why from people had more children. So therefore it makes sense to say that the Gemara is saying the chasuche bonim are allowed to be with their wives in order to have children. But when ubilvad b'leil tvila only once a month, because if it's not b'leil tvila, the likelihood for her to become pregnant is very small. B'leil tvila, on average, the likelihood is very high. So therefore, the Chazal said he can be with the woman, but only b'leil tvila. V'chein kosel matnas kuna b'midrash, Rabbi Parshas Noach, Parshas Lamadalav, v'chein kosel v'aguda b'pishu sham b'paska b'sayif. Okay. Pshat Gemara did that. This is the pshat in the Biois, in the Yerushalmi. But the Tana that's brought in our Gemara is mashma the chasuche bonim are so desperate to have children that even in the nights that are not so likely to have babies, still they should be with their wife. For every person. But to say that every person is allowed to be with his wife once a month, doesn't make sense. Okay. Let's learn the Taz. Schnell. Also, Atois is Perikam the tiny Sikshu, but he have an elder Ben Achoimus. Loisa is Rovoi. Alkochim Shemshem Mishnei Rov. Yesh Loimar, the Kula Alma, will have also a missionary Sheroitz Alinig Atzim Bechasidis. Yoitz Velishimish of Shon Nashim Shimshu. Atkal Lashain Atoisvis. Koshal said, came in all on the mail of Isurim Yosef, Dilma Yosef Midas Chsidis also. Lemishim Yosef. So I don't understand. If it's Midas Chassidus, how can you learn a din from Midas Chassidus? What's if people don't want to be Chassidim? Lazocher b'shamatoisus. The tiritz is that the kivin lo kim piyim v'rum b'tzarach sheloi bas. Chatu chibonim muter v'levi loi bas. Adayin al ken huter. The Rebbe Eliyahu Mizrahi said that with the Levi didn't have a daughter, so it's considered like he's chasuch chiboni. Kosav eis Yosef al zeh v'koshe. Dim ken gam Yosef loy muter l'sham shelo loi bas. Dim ken oy moino ois hakosav b'shivim nefesh. So if Levi is allowed to be with his wife because he has no daughter, Yosef is the same. It's a good question. Chasuche doesn't mean if he has a son and a daughter. What does chasuche bonim mean? Chasuche meaning doesn't have any children. The mashma ein le bonim lagamri. Dem loiken have le memer mishlo kaim piri v'ri b'mut. Elavada shlo itira le mishu chasuch legamri shahoy lechariri with a tsar godol. Come on. He says, I don't like this whole teretz. He says when we say chasuche bonim allowed to have try to have a baby means when there's a tsar godol they don't have. Not if they're makayim piri v'ri or not. The vad they could man toyre muter hakol chutz mishem mitzvos bnei noach. The Yosef nog mitzvos chassidus mesored nafshe el shonu roim shakosef zocher mitzvos betoyre shalonu shma mino the kovel the dov ze choyve shnilmad me Yosef man toyre ve'elach ve'meila have a dov ze neschadish man toyre ve'elach kamashon mitzvos. He says similar to what the Bach saying that because the Torah told us. Why is the Torah telling us what Yosef did? True, before Matan Torah, there was no mitzvahs, but Yosef did it. So why is the Torah? Yosef also, when he had a cough, used to take tissues and wipe his nose. The Torah doesn't tell it to us. But Mustami did it. He didn't just like blow his nose on the table. Why does the Torah not tell it to us? It's Nishnageya. So what does the Torah tell us? Things that are very important for us. So because the Torah tells us that Yosef was not Mishamish Mishnei Roven, is even though for him it was mitzvahs chassidus, but the Torah is telling it to us to show that this is hanhoga hayeruya, this is the way a person should live, and therefore after Matan Torah becomes a halacha. Okay, that's the teretz of the Taz. Let's read it quickly to the end. The Mizrahi asks, what happened with Yitzchak? The Pirish Rashi, Al Matzach Eis Rivka Ishtay. There's another problem is Yitzchak was it would say because Rashi says that was because because not true because it's mashma because the Befedish Rashi says Yitzchak b'shonai yimtza mei shana v'vachei Hashem it was shnaser oven and it was a bad puncture it was a bad this and still he had unbelievable bracha mei shana it was children yeah amen. Shemachi tireli malach labonav they say no shema makom sheisham v'ledokar avzed mashkotz makom sheitzch loyerov zayne taksiva yitzchak b'shona hiu pirish Rashi sheishona kosher shma mina sheh ba'oisik vula yakosher umashno mashikshim Elimelech tamu moed the fact that Elimelech let his sons marry in the time of famine means nothing. First of all, the vada filu beretz erav mutar lisa isha the filu kvarnos mutar l'shamesh l'chasuchibonik avachem lisa isha b'shein l'isha. Madach, someone that's married, could be, and doesn't have children yet, could be with his wife. Kolchkein, if he doesn't not married, he's allowed to get married. Because so he's saying my teretz a little better. It's not just a smachta b'alma, but it's a little stronger. His teretz, okay. So. Bottom line is that there's a problem. How come Levi did have children, and Yitzchak did have relations with his wife, and Yosef didn't? So we can boil down to we boiled it down to 4 tirutzim that was midas chassidus, but it's very schwer to say because the Shulchan Aruch, the Pais can bring it as a halach, not as a midas chassidus. The Rebbe Eliyahu Mizrahi says that that Levi is an exception. Because he didn't have chasuche bonim, which is a very difficult teretz. Number one, Yosef is exactly the same. Number two, chasuche bonim means simply he has no children. They did have children, and the Ran's teretz is a funny teretz that they were all not in pain, but so And to say that it's an asmachta be'alma, and really there was before Matan Torah, schwer. The bottom line is, what's most schwer is that Rashi doesn't address all these questions. So since even, for a lamdonim, the lamdonim, it's a shver. So madach for a lamdon, it's a shver. So why a Bechomish Lemiked reads it, doesn't understand. He learned the story of Yitzchak. He didn't forget, and he learned that Avimelech was Vayechi, and he saw Yitzchak Metzachik. Rashi says Meshamash Metosek, and he learned already. Rashi says that Yocheved was Nerl Ben Achaimas. And if a child already learned Chumash, he already learned that a baby could be in the mother's womb either 9 months or 7 months. And he knows that they came down after 2 years, and knows that baby's not in the mother's womb for 2 or 3 years, either 7 months or 8 or 9. So the child can ask this question. It doesn't take an Einstein to ask this question. And all the 4 tirutzim we said, even if we're going to add some salt and pepper and make one of them work, it's not so poshut. So why is Rashi imam? How come Rashi doesn't say a word to explain himself? Here's the Rebbe's teretz amamash, simple and geoinus. The Rebbe says like this. Number one.
His parents had a relationship or not.
That's the other shayla. How we're learning Chumash with our children is another shayla. Rashi says, Mikan she'osu. Mikan she'osu. What's the pshat Mikan she'osu? What's the diuk Mikan? The Gemara doesn't say Mikan. The Gemara never says Mikan. The Gemara doesn't say that. Mikan, because Rashi wants to say. You might think you can learn it already earlier from the story of Noach. Because it says befedish that when Noach went into the teva, ato v'necha v'ishtacha neshei v'necha. Rashi says to teach you that also why Rashi says neshoylim shara b'tzad. So you're not allowed to have pleasure when the oilim shara b'tzad. So Rashi is saying mikan. No, don't learn it from Noach. Learn it from here. But why not? I want to learn it from Noach. What are you going to do? You can put me in jail if I want to learn it from Noach. Why can't we learn it from Noach? Why can't we learn it from Noach? What's a shlech? That's what Rashi said. The pasuk emphasizes that Ato v'necha v'ishtach neshei v'necha itach to tell you that there were also v'tashma shemitim neshoylim shara b'tzad. Elamai. Rashi wants to say don't learn it from there. Why? Because there is different. Over there, the oilim shara b'tzad. The whole world, including Noach and his children, were in a big tzad. The entire universe was in tzad. So when the whole world is b'tzad, you can't have tashmish. But over here, Yosef Atzadik is b'tzad. Yosef is not b'tzad. He happens to be. He's the opposite. He's the opposite. He's like these. He's like these companies that everyone's now mishrayit, inflation, shmation. They're making extra money. Uh-huh. They're doing well. Yosef is dafke doing financially quite all right now.
The money from the
whole world. So don't worry. Yosef Atzadik is good. So it's not because. It's a different thing. Rashi wants to say, Mikan, we learn it from here. Mikan, it's a different thing. Mikan is a totally different thing. We want to learn it Mikan. What's the limud that we learn from Kan? What's the geder? What's the limud that we learn? Because it's tzar. It's a different thing. And one more diuk that Rebbe says, if you look at Rashi, and also in the Gemara, the pasuk says, Yosef yulut shtei vonim b'tera tovoi. Shna sarov. Shna sarov is singular. The Gemara says, and Rashi says, and the Rashi always doesn't always quote the Gemara. He just says what he thinks is true in Pshat, in Pshat Shamikra. Rashi says, not the Gemara says, Mekan she'osa le'odem l'shamish meshosai b'shnei ra'ov. Shnei is plural. Miut rabim shnaim, at least 2. It's not only he's playing with words. Shnas, shnei, Saget hazeh. It's not. There's a big. First of all, there's a big difference. 1 year, 2 years is 1 or 2 is not the same thing. And also there's a totally different understanding here. It's a totally different understanding. When what's talking the pshat? The Rebbe said the pshat is, and the Machomish understands this also. If it happens 1 year, there's a famine. It doesn't mean that that's it. That the whole world is now being destroyed. It could be. There's a saying in Yiddish, zufällig, b'mikra. Obviously, everything in b'mikra is rak ma'ashem, everything they saying in pshat doesn't mean just because one day is rough or 1 year is rough, it doesn't mean that there's exodus and oven on the world. It doesn't mean, we don't know. It could be there's a tough spot right now, but it doesn't mean, how do you know that there is a oven when it's already 2 years or 3 years? Like we say, for example, that Yehuda said, I don't know if I want to give this woman to my third son, Musa Noshel, or Yaakov said, I'm not sure, I want to let Binyamin go, Shimon Einanu, Yosef Einanu. So here's the word that Rebbe says. Here's the pshat. It's such a beautiful word. Pshat, the Rebbe says. And in Aderech Halacha maybe not. But in pshat, the pshat is like this. Levi might have heard that there was a dream going on, and maybe the whole world. They saw it. A CBS said that there was a party had a dream, and there was a wise little kid that told him ahin ahet. Even when a Jew has a dream, even when Yosef HaTzadik had a dream, say ein cholam b'lo dvarim b'telim. So Levi heard that every newspaper, the New York Times, and then the radio and CBS, Alam Gezok, that Pari had a dream, and the Khartoumim didn't know the answer, and one guy knew the answer. And he's supposed to read the Paskin Adin based on what says in the New York Times, what a reporter says in CBS, because one of the Khartoumim told Pari Absamai said, who says right now is Shneider of? Rashi says it can't be shnas. It has to be, the Gemara says only shnei. If you see that it is at least 2 years went by, you can't say, the wind came, the blew away the clouds, it was about to rain, this and that. You see already a few years are going by, and at least 2 years, you know there's an oven. But if a year goes by, how do you know there's an oven? Because Levi heard on CBS at Gezok, the party had a dream, and one of the Khartoumim told him, okay, Khartoumim said, even if it's true, there's Ein Chalom B'lo Dvarim B'Telim, who says 7 years there'd be a famine, maybe only 1 year, and that's not counted. So Levi, after 1 year of famine, was allowed to sleep with his wife and have a baby. The baby he had 9 months later, and that came in Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim, when they came, it wasn't even full 2 years. So after 1 year, he was slept with his wife. There's nothing wrong with that. Same in Yitzchok. We don't know how long. B'shonahi. No, we'll get to Noach in a second. But Yosef HaTzadik, he knew with clarity. He said, Eis asher Elokim oisa, higid lefaroi. Yiyu shnei v'shnei rov. He knew with clarity there's going to be Shnei Rov. So Yosef made sure, not only that, the Rebbe says the diuk, Yosef Yulad, time is short, so we'll do it Shabbos. The Zohar says that not only did he not sleep with his wife in the 7 years of Rov, he made sure to stop sleeping with his wife 9 months before it started. He knew there's 7 years of Sava.
He knew what's going to come.
And he didn't want to have a baby even. He didn't want to, we'll talk about it with Shem Shabbos. He didn't want to have
when he did have the 2 kids.
Actually, he had 7 years. It was 7 years.
But the famine, it was 7 years. So if he had,
no, first it was fat years. The first it was Sava.
In the full 7 years?
And again, the first. And the pasuk is Madgish Yosef Yulat Shnei Vonim B'terem Tovich Nasarov. Even the Leda. Even the Leda, he made sure that the Leda should be B'terem Tovish Nasarov. That's for Yosef HaTzadik. Because Yosef knew. Masha'en came, Levi. Levi doesn't know. 1 year went by. And what's Taka together? Because it's not because of Olam B'tzar. It's a different thing. Because it wasn't the whole Olam was not B'tzar. First of all, you have to, it's told in the Poskim. Some Poskim say just because eggs instead of $1.99 or $6.99 and it went up 3 times the price, it's not called an oven. An oven means there's pashut nothing to eat. There's pashut nothing to eat. It's not true there was nothing to eat in the days of Yosef HaTzadik. Everyone could come to Mitzrayim and buy food. So it wasn't because of tzar. In the days of the Mabel, there was nowhere to go. Where are you going to go? To the moon? There was no, the whole world was B'tzah.
Right.
But here it was a different thing because the Eibishter is busy. The Eibishter is busy in to do Heipach Yishuv Shaloilam. The Eibishter is making that there should be a Raven in the world. So because that's an Hogah from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to now do the opposite of Yishuv Shaloilam. So therefore, you shouldn't be busy doing Yeshuv Shaloilam. But that's only when it's not. If it was Tsar, so if I see people B'tzar, I can't be with my wife because people are B'tzar. But that's not, that was by Noach. It was Mitzad, the din of Tsar. So as soon as it started raining, and it seemed like this is bad stuff, it was also for them to be Mishamish Mitosam because the world is B'tzar. Here, when it's not, the oilam is not Kuli Shara B'tzar. If you want food, come pay for it. It's expensive. Yosef is charging a lot. But as we said, a lot of places can say, as long as there's food around, even if it double, triple the price,
You're allowed.
you're allowed.
Yeah.
No. But what? So the thing is, but if you find out that it's a oven, the Eibishter made a oven in the world, the Eibishter gemacht a oven. So then, because the Eibishter is oisek and the opposite of Yeshuv Shaloilam, you can't go build a family Yeshuv Shaloilam, and the Eibishter is busy now doing the opposite of Yeshuv Shaloilam. But how are you supposed to know? Maybe it was just that. Okay, for this month, for this year, but it's not that the Eibishter is now busy in the opposite of Yeshuv Shaloilam. So therefore, that's why Rashi emphasizes that Mikan she'aseh l'shamish mitoseh b'shnei oven. Only if at least 2 years went by and it's an oven, it's also l'shamish mitoseh. But Emes Yosef HaTzadik, who knew with full clarity, so he stopped even sleeping with his wife 9 months before the oven came because he knew with full clarity what's going on. But that's why the pasuk says Yosef Yulat Shnei Vonim Meteret Tavishnas Harav singular. But even the first year of Rav, 9 months before, he was nizer not to be mishamish mitase. But the halacha that we learn from this, Pshat says Rashi, Pshat, it's only the Isser is only b'shnei Rav, and that's why Yitzchak, who is only b'shonai, and Levi, who obviously his wife became pregnant in the Shana Rishona of the Rav, or the end of the Shana Rishona, or the beginning of the Shana Shniya. But he already had the baby, besides Shana Shniya. It was mutter for Yitzchak. It was mutter for Levi. It's only also for Yosef. So all the kashas, all the meforshim of Emfet. And there's also a Chiddush din here. Now, we'll talk about the Shabbos. Maybe the Zohar goes a little bit this mahal. Shulchan Aruch doesn't hold that way. The Shulchan Aruch says befeidish. If you look again in the Lashon Shulchan Aruch, the Shulchan Aruch says that mitzvah laharavatza b'shnas erav in singular. V'as l'shamish by mitasoi b'shnas erav in singular. Why is Shulchan Aruch mishana from the Lashon Gemara? The Gemara says shnei ravin. So the Rebbe says with Parshas, because Taka Rashi learned different than Rabbi Yosef Cairo and different than the Moshe Israel's. The Poskim more went with the spirit of the Gemara. That's why I quoted the whole Gemara. The Gemara before and after is talking about that a person should feel the tzad of the entire tzibur, and the Gemara before this, the Din of Reish Lakish, and after is talking about a person that's mitzvah imat tzibur. So the Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Cairo, and the Ramah felt that even though the Gemara said the expression Shnei Rav, but it was the same like Noach. We could have learned it from Noach also if you want for the same price. It's a din inside. If the klal is bitzar, a person should also be bitzar. And therefore Taka, some points can read that if the food went double the price and it's a big tsar, so the taka there's an issue and there's a question. But that's in the Derech HaShulchan Aruch. That's the way the Yosef Cairo learned, Al Derech HaHalocha. And that's the way Ramal agreed as Al Derech HaHalocha. And therefore the Shulchan Aruch says that this din is B'shnas Ra'oven, singular. But Rashi is not bound to what the Yosef Cairo and the Ramal say. And anyway, Rashi is not passing halacha here. Rashi is writing pshat.
Okay.
And in pshat, I like to sagen that the story of Noach and the story of Yosef is a totally different story. Over there, it's Mitzad. The whole world is Shari Mitzad. They shouldn't have pleasure. And by Yosef was a different thing. The Eibush is busy to do the opposite of Yeshua Shalom. You shouldn't be doing Yeshua Shalom. But how do you know that now is the opposite of Yeshua Shalom? If just for a few months there's a problem and you don't know that, it has to be Shnei Rov, 2 years. And Yitzchak and Levi was before the 2 years. They were allowed to. But Yosef knew with full clarity what's going on. So Yosef was different.
When Yosef was sitting together with his brother and make a soda and say, "Oh, now the first time they're sitting and eating and drinking." Till then they didn't sit together. The whole is
Vayishkru.
before he cut the Ramon, how Yosef Malaut is at Chelek, and he says, "No, I'm not."
Okay, but that's only mitzvah lahariv atzmai. Then it's taka. It doesn't mitzvah lahariv atzmai. And then is gefragt. There's a whole sikh about this. Okay, I just want to sign with a word. Kfar Chabad magazine. They put beautiful stories in the Rebbe. Zman, they print a book, putting together all the stories. It's a mashpia in Yerushalayim, not Yerushalayim, one of the yeshivas. He goes under the pen name.
What's the name?
Ari Smith, David Smith. Anyways, it's a pen name, but he put he just published another sefer I bought for. He said that he met a younger man in Tzfas. Mordechai Leifer, who's an Einigel from the Nadvorner Rebbe. 1991, the family moved to New York, to Williamsburg. Father was the Chassan of the Nadvorner Rebbe. The mother was from Choshev Satme Yichis. Mother had a baby then, baby girl, from the hospital, because uncle and aunt that came. It was a big simcha in the family. And he realized that his uncle and aunt were like, an unbelievable tzar. He realized that 18 years, they're married, didn't have any children, 18 years. And he felt so terrible. He wanted to do something. He knew that Zayd had hard regard for the Rebbe. And he heard that the Rebbe gives out dollars Sunday with a bracha. Pasha collected, he said, 10 cents at a time until he had enough money to buy a bus ride from Williamsburg to Crown Heights. He said the way back he'll use the dollar that the Rebbe gave him. Okay. He waited online for a very long time. The Laila, there was next to him, there was someone from France. I said he came. Oh, they're talking. Turns out they're both there for the same thing. This guy from France also was married for 10, 11 years and no children. Come in front of the Rebbe. And this guy talks to him in French. He has no idea what the Rebbe said. The Rebbe said something to him. And then he comes, he asks a bracha for his aunt to have children. The Rebbe gives him $1, an extra $1 for the Naya Yeshiva. Then he gives him $1 for the Fetter, and $1 for the Mutter, and another $3 for the Kinder. He goes out with $8, a rich man now. He goes out and he meets this French guy, and he asked him, what did the Rebbe tell you? The French guy says the Rebbe told him that the Rebbe Nachman al-Islam said that he doesn't have children himself. So this guy realized that this is not, it's not like everyone's getting the same treatment. That the Rebbe told him, So he came back and he got a ride back. He said that Taki was lucky. He didn't have to spend any of the dollars. All the $8 stayed in his pocket. Got back to Williamsburg. He ran to his uncle's house and he told him, have a bracha in Lubavitch Rebbe, you're going to have a baby. You don't know what's going on. Are you crazy? You went to Lubavitch? Lubavitch, are you crazy? You go to Lubavitch, never go there again. I don't want to see those dollars. Get out of here.